Information security management provides a lead role to make sure that your organization's information is properly protected. Now, this is where risk assessment is very crucial, because what it does is it helps us in analyzing if things are properly protected, or at least protected as much as they can be within the guidelines of risk assessment. Now, there are some things we can use in a risk assessment, some tools, things like the business impact analysis, which of course is a type of a risk analysis where we determine what's very important to us, and if it went down, if we lost it, if it was damaged, what would that impact be to our business. And we also can use the risk assessment to help us with developing business continuity plans and disaster recovery plans. Measuring your IT performance is something that can be a dynamic process, especially when we think about how today's environment is complex and always changing. Now, a process can be driven by performance indicators, and those can also be complex based on the types of business operations and processes that we have out there. The optimization is a goal of improving productivity of information systems without having to add additional IT investments and infrastructures. And so putting that together, you can say, all right, I get it. You're telling me that it might be tough to be able to look at a process, to measure its performance. And I'm not saying it's necessarily not complicated, it's just that there may be a lot of complexities involved, depending on what it is that you're looking at as a process. I mean, some applications, programs are very complex in what they can do. If you can imagine something like a customer resource management program that is really, consisting of databases and websites and, I mean, all of this stuff kind of all integrated together, very complex as a whole. Might be something you would be better suited to look at individual processes that make up the whole, and look to see if you can find performance indicators there, and ways of optimizing or improving productivity at that point. So again, that's just kind of the idea of what performance optimization is. As we continue to look at performance optimization, we have to know that some of those performance measurements might include things like the model, which, by the way, should be the first built part of this, which we use as the model to evaluate the performance and its alignment with business objectives. And think about that. Again, performance optimization, whatever it is that we have, it's doing something, right? It's performing something, some function for us. And, we want to optimize it, right? We want to make the performance better without necessarily, upgrading it and buying a new whatever it is that we're looking at. See, that's where it's kind of fun when we sit there and use vague terms rather than being any type of vendor specific or even, equipment specific. But I think you're getting with me here the idea of whatever it is, it's performing a function. And I don't want to invest in buying a new one, the latest and greatest, but to make it better and make sure that it's in alignment with what the business objectives are. In fact, you might say that maybe the reason I purchased this thing that's performing something for me, I was promised that it had some minimum performance levels, and that was already in alignment with my business objectives, so that was my model. Now, it's important to know that we could get measurement errors, and we should evaluate those so that we can make sure we're getting the true input and output information when we're measuring the performance of whatever it is we're looking at. We should know that there are some time lags between the expense and the benefits, and that should be accounted for in the current measures. And of course, you think about that. If I buy something to bring an improvement to my company, I pay for it. Right? And it's being shipped. And then it arrives. And then, maybe it's a network piece of equipment. Then I've got to rack it up. And then I've got to train people about how to use it. And, so there is a time lag between the time in which I made the expenditure and by the time I finally see the benefits of that device. Now, IT is often used to redistribute the source of costs in a firm. What it means is that in IT, I can give you a total amount of throughput or output, right? But it's probably divided to different parts of that firm. But and we talked about some of those cost-based methods. Basically, we're redistributing the source of those costs amongst all of the parts of the company that we are working with. And what else? Oh, the lack of explicit measures of the value of the information can make a resource vulnerable for being used improperly or being overused by managers, and that could be an indication of mismanagement. In other words, if we're not watching how this item is being used, right? If we're not taking these explicit measures, if we don't know what the value is about this resource, then that resource might not, because we don't know, right? We're not measuring it, so it could be used wrong. It might not be used the way we had expected or the way it was designed. Or it could be being overused, but again, we're not watching it. So when people start telling me, hey, this resource is sluggish, it doesn't respond, can I verify that, right? What's its performance? And so those are, again, important reasons why we want to look at those performance measurements and find ways to optimize them. Remember that good performance management systems should have leadership. They should follow a framework. There should be good communications within that management system, as well as accountability for the results. And if the results are good, there should be rewards, a compensation, or some sort of recognition that is linked to those performance measures.